Good day everyone, this is Crypto DNA bringing you informative crypto content. Please hit the like and subscribe on the way in. Today we're going to cover Bitcoin. We've all heard of Bitcoin, but what is it and how does it work? Stay tuned as you're not going to want to miss this content. Let's get it. As a quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Everything expressed on the Crypto DNA channel is our opinion for entertainment purposes only. Before you invest in anything, do your own research, understand the risk, make your own financial decisions. A quick agenda to see what we'll be covering today. What is Bitcoin? Who created it and why? How does it work? To include mining, blockchain technology, and halving events. Economic slavery, Bitcoin's success, and Bitcoin's future. Bitcoin is a digital currency and a group of digital assets known as cryptocurrency. Think of it as a non-tangible asset that you can send and receive electronically as payment through your phone or computer. Like sending dollars through an app, only Bitcoin uses a completely different mechanism than sending dollars. And it is in this difference that has allowed it to become so distinct and successful. Bitcoin was created in 2009 following the 2008 financial crisis by an anonymous person or group known only as Satoshi Nakamoto. In 2008, Satoshi published a white paper explaining his motives along with the underlying basis and mechanism on which Bitcoin would operate. Satoshi wanted to break away from the current centralized financial system that monopolized the global economy and put a stronghold on monetary freedom. He sought to replace this system with DeFi, or decentralized finance. If you zoom out of your daily life and visualize our current day-to-day operations, you can see that we're in what I like to call economic slavery. See, we're enslaved to an hourly pay or salary where we exchange our time and freedom for a monetary wage. This wage is chopped and decreased several times over by our benevolent government and financial institutions before a fraction of it finally sits uncomfortably in our savings accounts, where it is then withered away, accompanied by insulting interest rates and dwarfed by inflation. You see, the governments have us exchange paper money. In the US, this money was once backed by gold. Unfortunately, the gold standard has been abolished. More on the gold standard in the future, but for now understand that money was backed, and this allowed the dollar to thrive and preserve its value since governments couldn't just print money uncontrollably. Instead, they were print restricted, since a percentage of every dollar had to be backed by gold and kept in a Federal Reserve. This was a shield against inflation. Now, since the abolishment of the gold standard by the US in 1971, the dollar has been extremely devalued. What's frightening recently is the government has been printing money endlessly due to COVID-19, and subsequently, rapid devaluation will occur, now at an even greater rate. Satoshi recognized the downfalls of the current financial system, especially the required trust of third parties in order to facilitate electronic payments. Currently, financial institutions serve as third parties to enable electronic payments between peer-to-peer or consumer to merchant. Merchants provide a product or service, and the consumer pays for that product or service. As of 2020, globally, 81% of all payments are made electronically through payment methods with credit or debit cards. What's concerning is we're forced to trust these scumbag financial institutions to not mismanage our hard-earned money while they lend it out and make billions upon billions of dollars annually without providing us with reasonable interest rates. Furthermore, banks and card associations charge high fees to facilitate these transactions, and then they penalize us with outrageous overdraft or late fees. Another disservice, the mediation required by the third parties increased the total transaction costs, which increased the amount considered to be practical per transaction. These fees produce inconveniences by eliminating the feasibility of smaller, casual transactions. Now, compare that to cryptocurrency fees where institutions literally transfer billions of dollars for virtually nothing. If that wasn't reason enough to look for a solution, we've also become extremely susceptible to fraud, like identity theft and hacks, where our money and personal information is stolen. Unfortunately, these vulnerable financial institutions continue to fall victim to data breaches, and there is little indication that they will discontinue. With identity theft on a rise, we have to do what we can to prevent ourselves from falling victim. Globally, we have accepted a certain percentage of fraud as unavoidable, but why should we accept a certain level of loss when there is a secure technology that is far more advanced and inexpensive to operate while maintaining privacy and security? Let's investigate how this works. Bitcoin has a set supply of 21 million. Of the 21 million, 19 have been minted and put into circulation. The remaining 2 million are slowly released into circulation as they are mined, with the last Bitcoin estimated to be mined in 2140. Bitcoin can be stored in secured places known as digital wallets or on the centralized exchanges. The hardware wallets allow the owner to take sole custody of their holdings and remove them from the exchanges, thus taking them out of circulation. These wallets are accessed through a unique key or passphrase only known to the owner. There will be a complete video on the different types of wallets and crypto security in the future, so stay tuned for that. Bitcoin is only created through a process known as mining. Mining is the act of miners solving complex equations through a proof-of-work algorithm to mint blocks. They do this by connecting to the network server with computerized mining rigs. Proof-of-work essentially requires miners or members of the community to compete to solve these complex puzzles or equations. The miners who successfully solve the algorithm are paid block rewards. These block rewards are a set number of bitcoins agreed upon by the network. The term mining is not used in the literal sense with the physical use of picks and axes like during the Great Gold Rush. Mining of new coins is analogous to gold miners expending resources to add gold into circulation. However, in our case, it's CPUs and electricity that's expended as energy. Bitcoin uses a peer-to-peer network to facilitate these transactions without the need of the middleman. Peer-to-peer is just person-to-person. Bitcoin essentially removes the need of centralized financial institutions such as banks, credit unions, or money transfer corporations. For example, millions of people send money to loved ones across the world every day. Unfortunately, they're required to pay high fees to intermediaries like Western Union. This is estimated to cost around $400 million annually to hardworking people just trying to send money home, often to families in great need. Using digital assets like Bitcoin, people will be able to save millions of dollars a year just in transaction fees alone. Bitcoin operates on a proof-of-work protocol, which is very secure and not likely susceptible to hacks. Miners put in work by completing the puzzles and verifying the transactions. The miners secure the Bitcoin network while processing the exchanges. This ensures the mining process is valid and accurate. Without miners, Bitcoin would be vulnerable to attackers. In return for their security and processing services, miners are rewarded with new Bitcoins. Since Bitcoin's creation in 2009, it has never been hacked or compromised. This protocol uses unique private keys and digitally encoded transactions protected by cryptography. It is extremely difficult to breach the Bitcoin peer-to-peer proof-of-work network due to this inherent security design. Bitcoin can be purchased through a centralized exchange, such as Coinbase, Binance, or Gemini. Every transaction of Bitcoin is permanently and publicly recorded and remains visible on the blockchain. This trail is required to validate the transactions without any centralized authority. Now think of the blockchain as a public ledger that maintains the entire record of every Bitcoin transaction. There are only two groups of participants within the blockchain. You have individuals interested in buying, selling, and holding Bitcoin, and you have the miners who are present to verify these transactions and cement them into chains of blocks. Let's see how this works. Now, when someone sells or buys Bitcoin, the new transactions become available to the miners. At this point, the transactions are unverified. Through the use of mining equipment, the miners will attempt to solve the puzzle. When a solution is discovered, it is sent to other miners who promptly verify the validity. Once verified, the block is completed by cementing all the transactions in time as a permanent ledger that can never be removed. At its completion, the block is linked to the previously minted block. This connection of completed blocks form the blockchain. The miners then continue on to the next set of unverified transactions, thus repeating the process. This verification process of mining protects the network and makes it extremely secure. The result is a series of who, what, and when. Who is involved with the exchange? What was the amount of the exchange? And when did the exchange occur? It's important to note that these transactions are anonymous. It is the unique wallet addresses associated with the transaction that are made visible, not the people's personal information. Furthermore, since the blocks cannot be destroyed or altered, it is impossible for someone to falsify a transaction or to claim a transaction took place when it didn't. This is due to each block having its own fingerprint, called a hash. The hash on one block must recognize and match the hash on the adjoining block in order for the connection to occur. A fraudulent transaction request would alter this puzzle, thus preventing it from being minted to the previous block, where only the correctly solved puzzle can be connected. When Satoshi created Bitcoin, they were savvy enough to include a mechanism to decrease the speed at which Bitcoins are minted as time goes on. They did this with an event called Halving, which plays off the core principles of economic supply and demand. Every 4 years there is a halving event. Halving is the process of cutting the amount of block rewards given to the miner in half, therefore cutting the amount of Bitcoin released into circulation in half as well. This decreases the overall supply, which increases the value. For example, imagine if every 4 years the amount of gold mined is cut in half. The scarcity of gold would skyrocket the price. This is very similar to the impact experienced by Bitcoin. There have been 3 previous halving events. Halvings occurred in 2012, 16, and in 2020. Each event has greatly increased the price. In 2020, the price of Bitcoin traded at around $8,700. After the halving event, it increased to $64,000 in less than a year. Putting that into perspective, if the block rewards were still 50 Bitcoin, the miners would receive $3.2 million in Bitcoin per mine block. As you can see from the chart, the next Bitcoin halving will take place in 2024. The Bitcoin mining rewards will be reduced down to 3.125 Bitcoins per mine block. Now, if you're liking this content so far, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe. Bitcoin has become extremely successful since its creation, and as of today has a market cap near $1 trillion. Bitcoin was originally designed as a payment method, and as of September 2021, El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Now every business in El Salvador is required by law to accept Bitcoin as a payment method. The citizens of El Salvador have the flexibility to pay for anything they choose in Bitcoin. This freedom and El Salvador's president should be applauded. Recently, there's been a large amount of Bitcoin interest from companies like Tesla, MicroStrategy, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard all investing in crypto. Furthermore, large corporations like Walmart, Facebook, and Amazon have all expressed interest in Bitcoin and started recruiting crypto experts. Also, wealthy celebrities have invested very heavily in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, many of whom have actively voiced their interest and some even promoting certain tokens. There are even crypto corporations that are sponsoring professional sports teams. There's an old saying that you have to follow the smart money, and the smart money has been investing in crypto. Some experts predict that Bitcoin could reach $1 million per token by 2030 and is expected to be adopted globally. While Bitcoin was originally created as a payment method, it has become so valuable that many prefer to use it as a store of value and hedge against inflation, similar to gold. The available supply of Bitcoin decreases and becomes more and more scarce each day, and soon may even pass gold as the most valuable and prestige asset in the entire world. Now let's take a minute to go over a summary to make sure everybody's tracking. Bitcoin is a digital currency that was created in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto following the 2008 financial collapse to be used as a digital payment for goods and services. Satoshi wanted to break free from the corrupt, trusted third-party model facilitated by greedy and dishonest financial institutions. Satoshi looked to a trustless system where transactions were conducted peer-to-peer, eliminating the financial institutions as middlemen. Bitcoin works on a protocol known as the Proof-of-Work Authority, where all transactions are verified by miners who compete to solve complex mathematical equations. Through digital mining, the miners secure the network and cement the transaction history in a ledger called the blockchain. This ledger cannot be altered or faked, and is secured by cryptography. In return for the miners' work, they're rewarded with more Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been extremely successful and widely adopted by massive corporations and very wealthy celebrities. Bitcoin has been declared as legal tender in El Salvador, and other countries are looking to follow suit. The value of Bitcoin continues to increase due to scarcity, which is created through halving events that occur every 4 years. During halving, the miners' block rewards are cut in half, thus reducing the amount of Bitcoin put into circulation by half as well. Bitcoin is expected to soon pass gold in market cap, and experts predict Bitcoin to reach $1 million or more by 2030. Bitcoin is in its infancy, and the possibilities of where it can go are endless, with a very positive outlook. There you have it, DNA crew, informative crypto content. Be sure to like and subscribe, watch my other videos, stay blessed. Crypto DNA out.